Okay, so we want to draft out the pattern for the style we have in the picture. Okay, and this is our pattern paper. As you can see, I've joined two pattern papers together. I joined two pattern papers together so that we'll have a full length. And then another thing I did was I created edges on both sides of the pattern paper. Okay, so I did this so that we can, it's for better illustration, since it's a lace and of course it has edges. So these edges I did on both sides of the paper are going to represent both sides of the lace. Okay, so this is what I've done for better illustration. Then I've written out our measurements. The shoulder is 14, the bust point is 10, the bust round is 34.5, the under bust length is 13, the under bust round is 30.5, the hip is 40, the full length is 57, and then we have the knee length. The knee length is that point where on the gown that is going to play. Okay, and the knee length is going to be 34. We are going to be using 34. Now for this dress, which is a flowing dress, I'm going to be adding 2 inches to the length. So our new length will be 59. And of course, you know that when you are making a flowing dress, it's better to add to your gown length so that the dress doesn't hang. If it's a straight gown, you can use your exact full length, or you, of course. But if it's a flowing dress, please add 2 inches to your length so that, of course, the dress doesn't hang. And then just in case the person may want to use heel, or of course, you know, ladies and shoes, so please add 2 lengths to be on the safer side. So what I'm going to do at this point is, of course, fold your lace into 2. Like I said, this is going to represent my lace, so fold your lace into 2 like this. Since we don't want to have joinings at the down, we want to have that edge in the center, the edges of the lace in the center. So, and remember your lace is wider than my paper, so no wahala, just fold it into 2 as you see me do. Okay, then I'm going to get the gown length for the lace. Okay, our gown length for the lace is 59, remember. So I'm marking 59, and then from this 59 I'm going to add 1.5 inch for seam allowance, and this is what we have. I'm going ahead to draw. And this is where I'll be cutting out. Okay, so this is the length I need for my front piece. Can you see that? Yes. Then the next thing you will do is to divide your lace into 2. Okay, and I just want to confirm, I've divided my lace into 2, but I just want to confirm that for the front piece, this is 1 yard. So for the front piece, we are using 1 yard 24 inches. It's not even up to 2 yards. Okay, this is 1 yard 24 inches. So open it up, as you can see, and then go ahead and stitch. Okay, yes, you can go ahead and stitch at this point. But remember, this is paper, so I can't stitch. So what I'll be doing will be to tape it down. So I'm trying to tape down the patterns together. And remember, on your own end, you'll be sewing it. Okay. Okay, so let's assume you have sewn it just like I've taped mine down. Okay, so this is what we have. So after doing this, you can now fold it back You have to sew it, okay, so that you don't have challenge of being confused on how much allowance you have to leave, okay. You need to make it one so that your allowance doesn't shorten after you have shaped your dress, okay. So that's what you are going to do. The next thing I'll be doing now is to impute my measurements. Like I said, my paper is small, so go ahead and impute your shoulder measurement. The shoulder measurement is 14. Let me confirm. Yes, the shoulder measurement is 14. So plus half inch, that's 7.5. The bust point is 10. The under bust is 13. The hip 24. 10, 13, 24. Then the knee length is 34, which is what I'm marking here. Okay, then we have it to the remaining part of the length. Okay, so go ahead and draw the lines across. So I'm going ahead to draw my lines. And this is what, let me label them. This is the bust point, this is the under bust, this is the hip, and this is the knee length. Okay, so you can see that. Then the next thing I'll be doing is to get my armhole length. Your armhole length is your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. So for our clients with a bust of 34.5 divided by 6, that will give us something around 5.25 plus 1.5, that should give us around 7. That should give us around 7.7 or 7 thereabouts. So what I'll go ahead and mark 7. Seven and quarter for our armhole length. And I'm also going ahead to draw it across. This armhole length becomes our chest line. Okay? And then I'll go ahead and the shoulder measurement I have here, I'll go ahead and put it here. And this is it. 7 plus half inch. I'll go ahead and draw a straight line. I'll give it a neck width of 4 inches. Since it's going to be wide, or 4.5 since we want a canoe neckline effect. I'll give it okay, so for the picture, for the thumbnail, it's a V neckline, but our client doesn't want a V neckline, she wants a canoe neckline, so that is why we are going ahead to give it a neck width of 4.5 inches and of course our shoulder slant. Now if our neckline was smaller, if our neckline was around below 4 inches, we would have given a shoulder slant of 1 inch. But since our neckline is wide, is above 4 inches, we are giving a shoulder slant of just half inch. Okay, so that because the wider the neckline, the smaller the shoulder slant. Please don't forget, the wider the neckline, the smaller the shoulder slant. So this is our shoulder slant. Then I go ahead and create our curve. And just place your ruler on the chest line and create your curve as so. Okay, then for the front curve, just the front curve is slightly deeper. Okay, just slightly deeper, and the okay, should I say the back curve is slightly wider than the front armhole curve. Okay, so the next thing I'll be doing will be to impute our measurements. Our bust is 34.5 divided by 4. Divide your measurement, your horizontal measurements divided by 4. So 34.5 divided by 4, that will give me 8 and 3/4. So I've marked that, and then plus allowance, we are going to have an allowance of 1.5 inch. Then and take note that bust measurement, I didn't put it on the bust point, I put it on the chest line. Okay, so the next thing, I'll come to my under bust line, and I'll put the under bust measurement. Our under bust is 30.5 divided by 4, that will give me 7 3/4 and then I'll add 1.5 inch allowance, as you can see. Then the next thing, I'll come to the hip. Our hip is 40 inches divided by 4, that will give me 10 inches. So you can see I have 10 inches, and then I have my 1.5 inch allowance, as you can see. Now, if I have 10, whatever I have at the hip, I'll subtract 1 inch. So my hip, remember, divided by 4. 40 divided by 4 is 10 inches. So I'll now subtract 1. That is 9 inches, and I'll put it on the knee length. Okay, so 10 minus 1 is 9 inches. I'll put 9 inches on the knee length. Then I'll now add my 1.5 inch allowance. Okay? And then I'll go ahead and connect these dots together. So I have it as so. So can you see what we have? Of course, like I said, your lace is supposed to be wider. So you go ahead from this point and flay your lace. Okay, and just in case you are asking, you are wondering how wide should your lace be, it can be as wide as you want, but for the picture or for the photo we have, you can make it, of course. So for the style we have, you can make it like 5, 6, 7 to 8 inches wider than what you have on the hip. So what I mean is, your hip divided by 4, sorry, 40 divided by 4, which is the hip, is 10. Okay, so for the flare width, which is the base, let's say for the full length, if you have 10 here, you can have, let's say, like 15 or 16 or 17 or 18 here. Okay, so of course plus your allowance, so that determines the total width. So if I have 10 here, I can have 16 here, and then add my 1.5 inch allowance. You can decide, if you have 10 here, you can have 15 here plus a 1.5 inch allowance. Then go ahead and flay. Okay, if you don't want it to flay much, you can add maybe 3 or 4. Okay, but whichever way you flay it is fine, and it's going to work okay. So we are basically done. This is everything. It's very simple, as you can see. I'm just going ahead to blend this point so that I don't have sharp edges. Okay, so can you see what we have? It's very simple. So I'll go ahead and cut it out. Okay, so I've cut out that shape. I also want to cut out my neckline. I forgot to draft it. So I'll be coming down by, since it's a canoe neckline, I'll come down by 3 inches in length, and then I'll just blend. Please take note that it's not going to be deep. I'm not using this deep part of the ruler. Okay, it's a canoe neckline, so I want to use this part of the ruler as so. Okay, can you see? Now this is looking like a V, so I have to bend it. So this is my neckline width of, it's a canoe neckline, so I'll just go ahead and blend it like this. Can you see what I'm doing? Yes. So you have that nice curve in the center. Okay, so we are done with the front piece. Okay, can you see what we have here? This is it. So let me open it up for you to see. So this is how it will look. Our pattern, our lace pattern in the center, and then you can see our neckline. So the secret is, of course, if you want the round neckline, is to place your lace patterns together before removing your neckline. Okay, so can you see? Yes, this is what we have, and this is already looking beautiful. So I want to go ahead and cut our back piece. Okay, so for the back piece, of course, for the back piece, you don't need to, joining the edges at the back is not compulsory. okay? And of course, since it's a fitted dress, you need a zipper allowance at the back. So for your back piece, you can just go ahead and still fold your lace the way we folded, but you don't have to divide it. You don't have to divide it to get the edges in the middle because of our zip at the back. But if you want to still have your edge at the middle of the back, then it means that a zipper may not be necessary, and then you have to add allowance to the client's measurements so that they can wear the dress freely without the use of a zipper. Okay, so that's just it. If you want your lace at the center, just go ahead and add to the client's measurements so that it's free, so that they can wear it without a zipper. Then whatever we did for the front, you go ahead and do for the back. But since we have a zipper, just fold your lace on your yardage. You don't have to fold it to and divide, just fold the quantity you need, okay? And I didn't join the paper for the back because, of course, what I want to illustrate is from here to this point. So the length, you basically just flay it out as you want. Another thing I want to mention is, if you want the back to have a tail, like if you want it to flay in the middle, okay, you're going to add like 7 or 8 inches or even 9 inches, depending on how wide you want it to be. There is no static. If you want it to flay much, you can even add 10 inches like this, okay? But if you don't want it to flay at the back, you just want it to flay by the sides, you don't want it to flay in the center, you can just leave your normal zipper allowance. You can just put your dress before 2 inches, okay? Put it before 2 inches and then cut exactly the same thing, okay? But of course, that's very simple. So let me assume that you want it to flay at the back, and the truth is, when it flays in the center, it's actually more beautiful. And of course, depending on the quantity of the fabric, okay? So like I said earlier, if you don't want it to flay in the center, just put your 2 inches. I will illustrate for both of them so that you understand what I'm talking about. So for this one, it is not flaying. We don't want it to flay in the center. We just want it to flay by the sides. I hope you can see. We don't want it to flay in the center. We just want it to flay by the side. What I'm going to do is I'll place my fabric before 2 inches, as you can see. Then I'll go ahead and mark from the beginning of the paper. I'm going ahead to extend my lines. So my under bust line, I will extend it to this point. My under bust line, I will extend it to this point, and then my hip line, I'm going to extend it as well, and my knee length. Okay, so the lines are extended, and my under bust line, my hip line, and my knee length line. So I'm also going to extend the line up of the paper. Okay, so since it's a canoe neckline, usually it's beautiful if the necklines, if it's a canoe neckline, if the front and back necklines are the same, okay, or just a little bit slightly different, so that it won't be choking. Okay, since canoe necklines are usually not so deep. Okay, so at this point, my zip allowance is 1.5 inches, and that is what I'm going to impute at the neckline, 1.5 inches, as you can see. Now, because of my zipper bulge, okay, I believe you know what a zipper bulge is. That is when you put your zipper, if you don't want it to bulge at the back, I'm going to take out ½ inch, okay? So remember, here I measured 1.5 inch. Here I'll be measuring only 1 inch. Okay, 1.5 inch, 1 inch. Okay, so I'll come back to the hip and I'll still put my 1.5 inches. Okay, yes, then I'll come back to the knee length and still put 1 inch. So of course, you know that the center back of the human being is not shapeless. So the center back of the human being is not shapeless, okay? So you need to reproduce the shape at the back as well. So that's why I have 1.5 inch. On the under bust, I have 1 inch. On the hip, I came back to 1.5 inch. And on the knee, I came back to 1 inch. So I'm going ahead to connect as so. Now from this, okay, can you see what we have? Okay, so from this point, you just take it straight. You just use your long ruler, and just take it straight all the way down. Straight all the way down. When you do it like this, you'll not be having any flay at the center back. But if you want it to have a flay at the center back, you are going to shift your pattern to the number of inches you want for your flay width. Okay, so let's say I want 10 inches for my flare width. Like I said, 10 inches, 9 inches, 8 inches, but not less than 7 inches. Okay, so I want 10 inches for my flare width. I've gone ahead to place it like this. Then I will still extend my lines, my under bust line, my neckline, my hip line, and then my knee length. Okay, so I will do the same thing. On my neckline, I'll put 1.5 inch, which is the zipper allowance. On the under bust, I'll put 1 inch. On the hip, I'll still put 1.5 inch. On the knee length, I'll put 1 inch. Okay, then I'll go ahead and connect my lines together. So can you see what I've done? I've connected my lines together. Then I'll just go ahead and put my ruler at the flare. Okay, can you see? And then I'll flare it. Okay, and then in some cases you can even want your flare to be longer. Okay, at the center, it just adds beauty to the dress. So you can make it longer by, let's say, 3 inches. You can flare it longer by 3 inches, and then curve it to connect to the length you want. Okay, so this is everything about cutting the style. And for the gown, okay, we still have the sleeve part remaining. Okay, so of course this is it for the body of the gown. So the next thing we want to draft a pattern for is the sleeve. And you can see that the sleeve on the photo is not so bulky. It just has a little bit of play, but it's not so bulky. So I'll be using this remaining piece of paper to illustrate the sleeve. Now for the sleeve, you fold a 90-degree flare. And how do you fold a 90-degree flare? Your 90-degree flare, you fold it as a triangle. You just hold your fabric and fold it as a triangle. Okay, that is it for 90 degree flare. Fold a triangle. Actually, you even fold 2 triangles, but since it's a sleeve, you just fold 1 triangle. Of course, because you just need your sleeve folded into 2. But for this one, you can see the sleeve in the photo is not so wide. So you can just, for your fabric, just bend it like this. It's not even up to a 90 degree flare. You can just fold it on the width you want, something like this. Okay, let me do it again. Say your fabric is open like this. Just pin down a point of the fabric where you can get a triangle and just fold like this. Yes, this is the kind. Yeah, so look at, with this I can get the length of the sleeve, and I can also get the width I want. So you can now go ahead and create your, let's say for the picture, the sleeve length should be around 18. So this is 18 plus allowance. I can put it at 19, even 27, even 20. But if you want it shorter, please put the length you want. If you want it at maybe length of 10 inches, 8 inches, just after you made your fabric a triangle. Can you see what I'm talking about? I made it a triangle, and this triangle is not up to 90 degree flare. Okay, it's just an irregular triangle just to get our sleeve, because if you fold it, you're not going to get this shape. Okay, or the shape in the picture. So you fold it as a triangle, just pin down a point in the fabric and fold it to get this triangle. Let me do it again. If it's your fabric, just pin down a point in the fabric and fold as a triangle. So can you see this? Then just go ahead and create your, if you know how to draft your sleeve, the tutorial, we also have the tutorial how to draft sleeve. So go ahead and create your sleeve, sleeve round. But you must make sure that you have the wideness of your client's sleeve round. So let's say the client's sleeve round is 14. This is 14. Okay, my curve must stop at that 14. So can you see what we have? And then you just cut it as so. So can you see? Your curve must stop at your client's sleeve round or even wider. Okay. So from this point, we now go ahead and mark the round of the sleeve. So the shortest part of this triangle is 16 inches. I'm going ahead to mark 16 inches. Can you see what I'm doing? My tape is on this position. The position didn't move. Can you see what we have? So you see that we have that flare effect down, but it's not so wide. Can you see what we have? Yes. So this is how it should be. Your sleeve round on the triangle. Then put your tape here. And your tape should not leave this position. Then mark your sleeve length round. So for this is a length of 16 inches, and this is it. So this is everything you need to know about cutting the gown in the picture, in the thumbnail. This is everything you need to know on the drafting your sleeve, your bodice, your front piece, and your back piece. Okay, so thank you for watching. Thank you for staying with us. Do have a lovely day.